I want to make a video on more on this intelligence subject, one of my last videos. So yes, I want to make one of these videos on the intellect and how it can get in the way and your feelings and how feeling good and how you can intellectually understand that to be good and how they can be consistent. I've mentioned this before, how a lot of these things can be consistent. Your intellect can be consistent in recognizing with your feelings. You can feel good because you helped someone across the street. You can feel good for doing any number of good things. You can feel bad for doing something wrong. But obviously, your intellect shouldn't allow you to get in that situation to begin with. You should be able to at least make the value equations recognizing exactly your intentions, direct intentions of doing something, and having that have a direct outcome. But then again, obviously, there's accidents and mistakes, and you can feel bad and understand that. But then again, your intention and your feelings don't mean much of feeling bad. They mean something. But the situation that you tried to solve, they didn't fix, and you're just adding more negative by feeling bad. But then again, it comes down to deterrence, and that's the only thing we can rely on at this point is deterrence. Will this prevent you from making the same careless mistake again, closing you in even further? You're just completely trapped in a door at this point. You're completely trapped, and there's nothing you can do. You're just stuck. And that's what we're doing. We're stuck in deterrence. At that point, we're just trying to deter our best, trying to prevent something from happening again, deterring ourselves or ourselves, or preventing something from happening. Because even if your intention is good, you can make the same mistake. There's accidents, and at that point, it's about not making the accident again. You stick yourself in a cage where you cannot make the same mistake again. But we give up, we get our liberties and our freedoms based on all these mistakes that we're allowed to make. Our accidents, our very existence, the fact that we can make mistakes, the fact that we can indulge in something that may be wrong. We can do all sorts of negative things. We can also do all sorts of things, and the consequences are if we're a rabid animal, we're going to be put down regardless. It doesn't matter if we intended or not. Your intentions mean nothing once it's already happened. It's that if you don't seem to have learned your lesson, or you've done something so hideous or horrendous, there's only so much we can do, and at that point, you're just going to be a victim of your circumstance. I've mentioned this before, victims of circumstance, and it doesn't matter what your intention was. It's just you're going to be a victim of the circumstance, and that's how we are all victims of our circumstance, and there's only so much we can do to avoid being a victim of our circumstance. We can only do so much. And we're always trying to fight that. And that's the truth of our existence. So we can only try our best to avoid negative circumstances. And that's all we can do. But that control is beyond us to a certain extent. We can just hope our best. But that hope is just a pipe dream, because something's going to happen to us, like I mentioned before, character building. We're just stuck in a game of complete radical messery beyond our control. There's only so much we can do. We can move within the confines. We can move. I can have the intention of moving my hands, moving my fingers. I can have the intention of doing any number of things when it's not going to change the fact that things are going to happen a certain way, and the certain way is going to be beyond my control. And the knowledge of how they're going to happen is beyond my knowledge and my control. I can only react to a specific circumstance once it's ahead of me. I can't interact with something that's 1,000 miles away, and I'm going to be there 5 hours from now or 10 hours from now. I can't do anything. Or 12 hours from now. I can only do so much. But my interaction with the world is, like I said, we're one piece, and the whole piece matters more than the one piece. And I'm one piece in the puzzle, and then the puzzle that's moving as a whole. There's individual pieces moving, but they're just bumping into each other. And that's the beyond our control part. There's only so much we can do, and it's beyond our control. And even if such, my hand, even if I consciously know I can move it, it's beyond my control, and I can only do so much beyond my intention to feel like I have control. And the control is there, but it's there in a very vague kind of way. It exists, but it kind of doesn't exist. It exists vaguely inside vaguely inside its ability to exist in a non-existent kind of way. And it can exist, but it can only exist so much, and it exists only existing beyond our control. Or the control we feel we have is beyond our control anyway. Is almost in a way the way I'm trying to describe it. So yes, I can't read my handwriting, so I can't read exactly what my main point was. but it has to something to do with intellect and feeling good, and how our intellect can mean something. Our intentions, that's another good word to describe feelings and how we intend, but our intention doesn't mean anything once we've committed the crime. It's about the experience and the feeling good and the feeling bad. And it doesn't matter the intention at that point, it just matters the experience. And the intention only matters if the intention really doesn't matter, because if you intended no harm, it was an accident. Really, if you didn't intend it for the negative thing to happen, and then accident was a negative thing, there's only so much you can do, but trying your best not to make the same accident again and learn from your lesson. And that's all about prevention at that point, because that's all you can do is prevent at that point. You can only do so much, and the only thing you can do at that point, regardless of your intention and what happened, is try to not make the same mistake again. And that's all we can do, is prevent and deter. And if you're a victim of, say, some psychological issue or whatever it is, circumstance, whatever the circumstance may be, you're the victim of the circumstance that created that circumstance. And not only that, the thing that made you the victim of, say, some kind of prosecution or persecution. But then the persecution is another circumstance you're going to be caught in, because you're a victim of the previous circumstance. And there's only so much we can do to avoid these circumstances. We have only so much control over. So it's something we can only do so much about. We can only do so much about the circumstances we're stuck in. Unfortunately. So, yes. Let's see if I can try to read this. No, I don't think I can read it. I've actually spent like 5 minutes trying to read it before this video. But I guess that's a good enough video to make it anyway. So, yeah. Yeah, so I guess that's something to make. And if I can always read this, if I read this later on, I can just make an extra video on it anyway. So, yeah. I'm going to make exactly 75 videos on the webcam. I want to do something dark. It's always neat, yeah. So, yes, I think I have nothing else to mention, right? So that's it. If I have anything else to say, if I can read my handwriting better, if I can find anything else interesting to say on the subject, yes, sometimes they can align and our feelings and yeah. Yeah. Feeling good. Yes, feeling good and intellectually. Sometimes they can be one. They can be one. Trust me. Yeah. Yep. Sorry this video ended kind of crappy. Bye.